Is right now a really good time to buy an RV or not? RV prices are down, but signs that they're turning the corner and increasing again have already shown. I'm Jason Epperson, and this is RV Miles. Say what you want about the nation's largest RV dealer, Camping World. They're really good at forecasting sales. They sell more RVs than anyone else by a wide margin, and because they're a publicly traded company, they have to publish all sorts of information about their sales and their business performance. And that makes their earnings report one of the clearest windows into the overall health of the RV marketplace. When they say something about the market, it's usually worth paying attention to. So in this video, I'm going to dig into their latest quarterly report and distill some important info along with other sources to sort of crystal ball a bit into whether now is your best shot at a good price buying an RV or if you should wait. So let's start with the numbers. In the second quarter, which ended in June, Camping World sold more RVs than in any other quarter in its history, 45,000 units. Same-store sales rose more than 20% for both new and used RVs, which is a huge achievement in a year when overall RV shipments and registrations are still soft. But you don't really care about how many RVs are sold, do you? You care about the price. So here's the twist. In the first half of 2025, Camping World sold more RVs than in the first half of 2024, but for less money. The average selling price of a new RV dropped by 10.6% compared to the same 6-month period last year, falling from about $38,000 to $34,000. Used RV prices slipped slightly, down just over 1% to about $30,000. Camping World's gross margins tell a more complicated story. On the new side, margins slipped to 13.8%, pressured by those lower average prices. But on the used side, margins actually expanded to over 20%, thanks to lower acquisition costs, meaning people have been selling them their used RVs or trading them in for less money than in the past. So there's more room for them to make a margin on them. Camping World is still making very healthy profits even while they've cut prices, and they're doing it in part by leaning heavily into those used RVs. Their used inventory is up more than 50% this year, and they expect double-digit growth in used sales to continue for years to come. Used RV sales have been a particular focus for Camping World. They've really made a drive over the last several years to build their used inventory. You may have seen lots of ads trying to get you to sell them your used unit. So some would call this a glut of too many used RVs available. When you see the amount of used RVs piling up at dealership lots like this, you might consider this to be a glut, too much, so prices need to be slashed. Camping World doesn't see it that way, though. While the number of used RVs on Camping World lots is growing, they're doing that on purpose. The number of new units, though, is staying about the same. Now, I really want you to avoid the fallacy that I see a lot of people mention in the comments when it comes to inventory. People say to me time and time again that they see dealerships packed with RVs, and somehow that means that nobody is buying. I want you to look at it more like a grocery store. If you went down the cereal aisle at your local supermarket, would you think that a fully stocked cereal aisle with all the boxes faced to the edge of the shelves means that nobody's buying cereal? Of course not. Would you think the fact that there are 30 boxes of Cheerios and 2 boxes of grape nuts means that nobody's buying Cheerios and there's a run on grape nuts? Of course not. Just like supermarkets want to have plentiful items on their shelves for you to choose from, RV dealers want you to have lots of models and floor plans for you to choose from so you don't start shopping at other dealers. It might seem to some of us seasoned RVers that everyone does their research online and chooses what they want ahead of time, but still, a lot of people still buy by perusing the wares on the lot. And those who do know what they want are usually looking for a dealer around them that has it, which means, again, the need for a healthy sized inventory. Now, regardless, the growth in the overall size of used RV inventory, whether Camping World's doing it on purpose or not, means more of a chance for a good deal on a used unit, whether you buy it from Camping World or from somewhere else. More in a moment, but if you're buying new or used RVs, expect unexpected repairs to put a major wrench in your travel plans now and then. That's where Wholesale Warranties, the sponsor of this episode, comes in, your travel companion for peace of mind in 2025 and beyond. Unfortunately, it's not a matter of if your RV will break down, it's when. A single repair can cost thousands, but an extended warranty through our friends at Wholesale Warranties means your travel budget is covered. With over 2 decades of experience in the RV community, Wholesale Warranties knows RVers. They offer top-rated RV warranty coverage tailored to you and your RV and back it up with 5-star customer service and no waiting period. You have the flexibility to use any repair tech in the US or Canada, including mobile techs. Tire and wheel protection is included with every plan and more. Make 2025 your best year of travel yet. Visit wholesalewarranties.com to get your free no obligation quote today and hit the road with peace of mind tomorrow. Now, it's worth pointing out that Camping World's average selling price is much lower than many of its competitors. And why? Their average selling price for a new RV is around $35,000, while independent dealers are averaging $50,000 or more. Now, that doesn't mean an RV is much cheaper at Camping World. It's because Camping World sells a ton of smaller entry-level trailers instead of focusing entirely on the huge luxury fifth wheels or $300,000 Class A motorhomes. Marcus Lemonis, the CEO of Camping World, explained that this isn't just about chasing market share. He told investors that those smaller, affordable models are meant to bring in people into the lifestyle and, just as importantly, into Camping World's ecosystem. He believes the lifetime value of that customer can start earlier and the trade cycle can start faster, and they can get them into Good Sam and all that sort of stuff if you can get them on the ground floor affordably. That strategy is paying off for Camping World. Camping World now sells over 14% of all new and used RVs registered in North America, and they've set their sights on 20%. They've also been consolidating stores, closing 16 in the last 6 months, cutting staff about 1,000 jobs this year. You may remember this is something I've covered quite extensively over the last 5 years or so, that Camping World went on an acquisition spree and was actually increasing the number of stores they have. They even bought defunct outdoor chain Gander Outdoors and were sort of building those Gander outdoor stores into Camping World stores. So now they're sort of pulling that back a bit. And as tough as that has been for employees, the result has been higher sales and profits per location. So in other words, fewer stores, but more productive ones. Frankly, a lot of that has to do with buying up their competitors over the last few years while the RV industry has been in a downturn. A lot of those independent dealers just have not had the money to keep going, where Camping World has been able to step in, let them save some face, retire, give them a check, take over the dealership. Some of those dealers they close, some of them they keep running, whatever it might be, but that's the reality, is Camping World gets more market share because a loss of other dealerships. There's also been some chatter in the industry that Camping World is selling RVs at a loss just to keep sales volumes up. And they definitely did say in their earnings report that they have been dropping the prices of RVs in order to sell more. That doesn't mean they're selling them for a loss. Lemonis addressed this head on in the earnings call. One thing that I heard yesterday from some feedback that I got is that we look like we're selling units at a loss to try to grow a file meaning growing the number of customers to build a relationship with, or to try to grow market share. And that's just total nonsense, Lemonis said. Every transaction that we do cumulatively is intended to be profitable. He did admit that there are cases where Camping World takes a front end loss on an aging unit or a bad trade, but overall, he insisted the company's transactions are, of course, designed to be profitable. But I think that's something that you can look at any dealership. There's going to be some units out there that just are costing them money that they need to get rid of, that they're going to take a loss on. Now, here's where things get a little tricky for buyers, and where the story Camping World told Wall Street doesn't necessarily always line up with what's happening in real life. Prices might be lower, but interest rates are still sky high. Now, I will say that consumers don't necessarily resist interest rates like we think they would. They just care about what that monthly payment is. So the number of payments keeps expanding and the monthly payment grows lower and lower. Meanwhile, they're paying more and more interest over the life of the loan. A lot of buyers don't care. You're smarter, you care. It's a really big cost. It's the biggest cost besides the price of the RV that you're going to pay is the interest you pay on a loan. The reality right now is even well-qualified buyers are still staring at 9% RV loans. Now that's come down maybe 0.5% in the last 2 years, and certainly some people can get less. A lot of it has to do with the amount that you're borrowing. But the average interest rate on an RV loan toward the end of 2023 was 9.94%. Right now, 9.67%. Even if the Federal Reserve cuts rates later this year, even if they aggressively cut rates, we're not going to see a dramatic improvement in RV loan rates for some time. RVs are considered a luxury item. Lenders view them as a higher risk. They're not in a hurry to slash rates just because the Fed does. So yeah, prices are down, but affordability might not have improved as much for anyone financing their RV. The real winners in this market are going to be cash buyers who can take advantage of the lower prices without handing thousands of dollars to a lender. Looking ahead, Camping World expects average selling prices to end the year down 10 to 12% overall over last year. But here's why there might be signs that right now is a decent time to buy. And I mean right now. Camping World says they're already seeing a small rebound. Lemonis said average sale prices rose about $1,000 in July and expects them to keep climbing slowly into the back half of the year. Quote, "We don't see it getting back to 40,000 for the full year as we did last year," he said, "but we hope to see that march back towards 40,000 happen over the next 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 months. And again, say what you want about the man, say what you want about Camping World. They are very good at projecting these things. They're not psychics, but they have the best data out there. He also addressed the part tariffs have to play in pricing. Not so much so far, considering the sort of up and down nature and some of the strategies that manufacturers have implemented to mitigate them, including just eating some of the cost. RVs are mostly American made. I know there are some foreign parts in them for sure, but a lot of the stuff that goes into them is American made, even on some units, a lot of the appliances. But it's certainly not everything, and the effect that tariffs will have on RVs will gradually change if things remain the same. Quote, "Tariffs haven't hit hard yet," Lamona said, "though they could gradually raise prices next year. In the meantime, used RVs will remain the big story, more inventory, strong margins, and plenty of turnover." One more point about the current market. It's model year change over time, and that means that 2025 models look a lot less appealing to buyers than 2026 models. I wouldn't expect there to be much actual difference in most units on the lot, though. As you see them start to come in, you're going to see some new colors, some new exterior graphics, some new interior fabrics, and things like that. And sure, there's going to be some new floor plans coming. But as dealers bring them to their lots, every year you see better prices on last year's models. And I'm not expecting, a lot of people in the industry are not expecting this to be some sort of revolutionary year when it comes to innovation with new RVs. You're not going to see all sorts of new air conditioners, new heaters, new furnaces, new equipment, whatever it might be. It's all going to be pretty much the same stuff. And the deals that you can get on last year's units are really enticing right now. So, what does this all mean if you're shopping? If you're paying cash right now, I think is a pretty good moment to look, especially in the used market where dealers are loaded up on inventory. If you're planning on buying in the next year or so, I'd say this is still probably a good time. Nobody can predict the future, but my suggestion would be that if you were planning on buying in the next 5 years and you need to finance, wait until interest rates eventually come down a bit. Do the math on a percentage or two. It really is a huge difference, but it will take a decent amount of time. Don't be sitting here like, oh, the Fed's going to cut rates in October, November, whatever it is. That is not going to affect financing much at all. And as always, if you are financing, be cautious. Don't assume that lower sticker prices mean lower monthly payments. There's definitely going to be a lot of games that dealerships play trying to get you to use their financing, and that's all baked into the cost. Off the top of my head, this isn't in the script, but I think in the Camping World earnings report, about half of the profit that they make on a new RV comes from financing and ancillary stuff like your extended warranty that they sell you, that they make a big profit on, and their Good Sam services and stuff like that. So there's a lot of money in that stuff for the dealer, and they're going to play games cutting prices in order for you to buy those sorts of things from them. Always run the math on the total loan cost. And remember that in this environment, interest may cancel out some of the savings that you're going to get on the RV itself. And of course, none of this has anything to do with the quality of the unit. I do think quality has been improving a little bit from some of the worst of it in the real big run up to the 2021 and 2022 boom. But The RV industry has always had some quality issues, and I always think buying an RV is a lot like buying a house. You should get it inspected. Get a new RV inspected, get a used RV inspected from a reputable inspector, and make sure it doesn't have any issues. Also, get some real world information on the actual product lines from owners by joining forums and Facebook groups. Don't just listen to complaints about parent companies like Winnebago, Forest River, and Thor. They're all the biggest ones out there. They're way too big. Their individual brands really do act like separate companies with different employees, different factories, different components, making different products. And those different lines are where it really matters. I'm going to keep tracking these numbers for you, translating a bit for you in the future. Let me know if you like this type of video. And thanks so much for being here. If you got something out of it, hit the like button. If you want more like it, subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.